Welcome, guys, to episode 2 of Above the Rim, presented by Afterthought Sports. I'm Austin Townley. I'm joined by the one, the only, James Derrick, and our special guest, Nathan Donnelly. What up, guys? This is my favorite part of the week.
Yeah,
it really is.
It's definitely mine too. Jack Haskell couldn't make it today, so Nathan Donnelly.
Late edition, but happy to be here.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah,
Thanks for coming on.
It's gonna be fun.
So, we're gonna get right into it. I think we're gonna go top 10. Post-trade deadline stuff, a lot has changed in the NBA. So let's go through the top 10. These are projections that we all came up with ourselves, and we're going to talk about it, argue about it. There's probably going to be a little bit of an argument. I already know James and I have one brewing because we talked about it before, but we were like, we need to save this for the pod.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing. James, why don't you just get it started, man?
My top 10 players post-trade deadline?
Yeah.
Okay, at least by the end of the year, these will be your top 10 players. Number one, of course, Nikola Jokic. I really don't have to go too into depth about that one. He's been the best player in our game for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Any flaw in his game, he's already taken care of and gotten better at, especially the three-point shooting. So when the best player gets even better, he's number one. Number two is Shea. Again, doesn't require much attention or thought. He's number two, and right behind him will slide Giannis. Number 4, Luka. Number 5, Jason Tatum. Number 6, Anthony Davis. Number 7, I put Victor Wembanyama. Number 8, Karl-Anthony Towns right behind him. However, I do have a little stipulation about those two. Number 9, Jalen Brunson. And number 10, LeBron.
LeBron!
Yeah.
Do you disagree? I mean, do either of you disagree? Austin, I'll give you a chance first to talk about it, then we'll go to Nathan.
Yeah, I definitely disagree with you.
About?
The Karl-Anthony Towns, Victor Wembanyama, you do have him above Cat, which is I like to see because I'm a Wemby fan. I'm not sure about Brunson.
Here, well, let me first make my stipulation about Cat that I mentioned with Victor Wembanyama. I have them right next to each other on the list. I went back and forth 7-8 a lot. You could still, for me, put Cat at 7 in front of Victor Wembanyama. I feel like Cat has a lot that he's already proven, whereas Victor Wembanyama still does make some seemingly kind of rookie errors or turns the ball over a couple too many times. I think Cat is a consistent, better player in this game than Victor Wembanyama at given points. But I think maybe the potential for Victor Wembanyama shines through a lot more.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's there yet. But what were you saying? Sorry. You hate Jalen Brunson?
I don't hate Jalen Brunson at all. Actually, I love watching Jalen Brunson. I just don't think he's top 10. Personally, I'm even taking Cade Cunningham over Jalen Brunson.
Mm-hmm. You can absolutely.
He's a bigger guard. Mm-hmm. I don't have him in my top 10, though. But it's a good list. I don't see Stephen Curry. I don't see Kevin Durant.
That's true.
That's interesting considering the seasons that they're having this year. All-star starters. So that's a little iffy for me. I'm just gonna go through my top 10.
Yeah, sure, go.
Coming in at the one spot, I think this goes without saying. This is pretty much like a given at this point. Nikola Jokic, he's been the best player in the game for a solid 3-4 years. Yeah,
a while.
Probably the last 5 years.
Long, certainly long enough.
Jokic is one of the solidified greatest players of all time. I mean, how many MVPs does he have? Two MVPs. He has an NBA championship. He's got the All-Star nods. He's got the All-NBA nods. I mean,
he will be the best big man of all time.
Really?
You think?
You think over Shaq, over Wilt, over Kareem?
Yes.
Over upcoming Victor Wembanyama?
Ooh, I think it's pretty clear cut right now, but
pretty clear cut right now.
Obviously, right now, yeah. I mean, if you're gonna argue anything relating to big man, Nikola Jokic should be the first name you mention, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The Wemby stuff is tricky because Wemby's gonna come after Jokic.
Same conference. But the point is Wemby's going to come after Jokic, whereas all these guys who you just named, like Kareem, all those guys, came before. So we know what they already have done. Exactly. And that's the exciting thing about Victor Wembanyama, I think, because we have no idea what he's going to do. I mean, we see what he's doing his rookie year. We saw what he did. We're seeing what he's doing right now in his second season, which is genuinely incredible.
Yeah.
For a second-year guy, I think he's going to be All-NBA. He's an All-Star this year. Yeah. Coming in at number 2, I think this is again like kind of a given. SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He is the premier guard in the game right now. He is. When I watch Shai, it's like the reactions I have is like, how do you guard him?
It's effortless.
Yeah, it
It's
looks
completely
easy for him.
effortless too. He'll drop 35 and a half and it'll be effortless.
Yeah,
It's absurd.
My whole life is consistent.
My whole life is it's absurd.
and he's got swag.
He's got swag.
Like, dude,
The aura.
yeah.
Yeah.
nobody has more aura than him in the NBA. I genuinely think that. My whole
Than
life,
Shai?
my whole life is consistent. Like, that's
I
awesome.
just love the way his teammates gas him up in those, after game interviews too. I love the whole team dynamic too. But
It is awesome. Team of dogs, for sure. 3, I have Giannis Antetokounmpo. Again, proving himself year after year in this league. One of the greatest power forwards to ever play the game. Had one of the greatest finals performances of all time. You can't argue Giannis. He's an all-time great. He could move up on the all-time list. He's an NBA 75 member. I mean, yeah, these guys. And then coming in at number 4, that I have Luka Doncic. Again, 5-time All-NBA first-team player in his first 6 seasons. How do you trade that? Again, insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
Coming in at number 5, I have Victor Wembanyama. Yep, that is right. Number 5,
Top 5 player in the
top
game.
5
apparently.
player in the NBA, Victor Wembanyama, and I'm gonna stand on that.
I don't know. I think it's too early for him, and there's no part of Victor Wembanyama's game that, for me, besides defense, that is consistent night in, night out. I think on a given night, you know exactly what you're gonna get from Karl-Anthony Towns, and even if he can't impact the game in the way you want, he's a dynamic enough a player where he can still fulfill a good role. Where I feel like Wembanyama sometimes, and it's kind of just the state of the team too.
State of the team. I was going to say
If-
state of the team.
If he's not playing particularly well that night, well, he finishes the night shooting 2 for 15.
Yeah, because he
It's
has
not-
to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll probably lose.
So I think it's maybe less related for me to the player itself, which I guess it should be. But it's team oriented too. I think that's why you see Jalen Brunson on there over Steph Curry for me, because the Knicks are a team that's winning, and the Warriors could easily miss the playoffs, regardless of how well Steph Curry plays. I don't know. Is that, again, I should be thinking about player over team?
Yes.
I would say yes, but it's not necessarily that part that's tricky with me. It's like you talked about the only thing consistent is his defense.
It's not true.
I
I don't necessarily agree with that.
I personally don't think that's true,
Yeah.
but let's say that is true.
Right.
Defense is half of the game.
It is the other half of the game. And he's-
Defense is 50% of the game. Offense is obviously glorified. Like we're going
Right,
to talk about
right.
offense, but like defense is half of the game. If you're consistently one of the best defenders in the league, you're going to play for a long time.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
I mean, looking at Victor Wembanyama's stats this season, he's averaging 24.4 points a game, 11 rebounds, 3.6 assists. He's shooting 47.7% from the field as a big man.
Cat shoots
Very good.
Cat shoots at a better clip from the field from 3. He gets more rebounds. He scores more points, I think.
Yeah,
if
but
not the same amount, and he has more assists.
Wemby averages 3.9 blocks a game, though.
And Cat doesn't. That's it. If that's your only case for why Victor Wembanyama should be better than Cat, then I'm not sure if it's a good point, because in my opinion, the stats do speak. The Knicks also win more games.
The Knicks are a super team.
They're not a super team.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Yeah, and the Suns are a super team, and they suck.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
the Knicks are also
having
one of
a
the
super
deepest
team-
teams in the league, though.
So having a super team means that Cat is worse than Victor Wembanyama because Victor Wembanyama doesn't have a super team. I mean, they just
No,
traded
I'm saying
Fox.
because your argument is that from a team standpoint, yeah, obviously they're gonna have a better record. Look at their team compared to the Spurs. I mean, yeah, they just got De'Aaron Fox, but like, come on, you can't compare the Spurs and the Knicks.
Yeah, but
just
even if you don't want to play that game and you want to look at the stats, Karl-Anthony Towns is better still.
I don't think so.
I
Defense is the other half of the game, and he's a good defender, but he's not Victor Wembanyama. I mean, Victor Wembanyama is the leading favorite for Defensive Player of the Year, like by far.
I guess I'm not valuing defense enough, but if his defense was really that good, I mean,
And
the Spurs should be.
I hate to be this dude, but it's 100% true. there's stuff you can't quantify on defense. That Victor Wembanyama, he's 7'4".
Right.
Like there's teams teams game plan around how to shoot over Cat?
No.
Like Victor Wembanyama does stuff that blocks and steals and stocks or whatever don't show.
Yeah,
like it's absurd.
There are a lot of crazy pass outs, when
that I've watched him. He rotates around the perimeter too, excellently. Like he is for being 7'4". He's insanely mobile and versatile. He's insane.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of one.
Well, if I were to make a formal argument, I would say Karl-Anthony Towns fine-tunedness on the offensive side of the ball and his decent ability on defense makes up for the fact that Victor Wembanyama is an A-plus defender and makes Cat a better player just because of how consistent he is on offense. I mean, how many times do you see a Spurs possession where you're kind of just like, that was horrible. Like Victor
what are
just
they doing?
Shot a half-court three.
I'm not
saying Cat is any different, but at least he makes it at a better clip.
Yeah, and that fine-tunedness of your offensive game comes with time, and Cat has had more of that too.
He has had more time, but I also think like age is a factor here where yes, like Cat's a veteran, he's going to be more fine-tuned to all those things. But like I think Victor Wembanyama is also kind of in an era of basketball. We all watch high school games, college games. Things are getting much, much, much more loose. I think he's almost a LaMelo Ball style of basketball player, and I don't think that's a good basketball game that the Spurs should try to embrace. I think they should almost change him a little bit, where it's not a LaMelo Ball free reign over the offense kind of thing. It's he's definitely the main component, but I think when
we're
going to
run stuff through him.
Yeah, when you give him the ball too much and he puts the ball on the floor, bad things happen. I think that doesn't happen to any other center in the NBA besides Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah.
Happened last year with Karl-Anthony Towns.
How so?
I mean, did you watch last year on the Timberwolves when they would run sets for Karl-Anthony Towns? Sometimes he would just chuck threes for no reason.
Well, and
that's what it kind of looks like with Victor Wembanyama right now. Because, granted, the team around him isn't the greatest. It's not horrible, but it's not the greatest at all. And if I'm the coach, Wemby, shoot every time.
Sure. But you know what? And maybe that's what comes with having a better team is you do become a better player. And that's why for now, Victor Wembanyama is below Cat because Cat has eliminated remember when he had however many threes in a very short amount of time against, I forgot who, last year, he was going off. He continued to shoot.
They lost the game.
He
shot them out of the game.
Yeah.
He shot them out of the game. He would never do that on the Knicks this year, and I don't think he has.
I agree with that. I think Cat's mindset when he got traded kind of changed a little bit. I mean, also the culture that's in the culture of the Knicks that is now, a mecca of basketball again, which is awesome and it's great for the NBA.
I think that's good, yeah.
And I can give you a perfectly good example of that. Last night, Cat had 40.
Yeah.
He had 40. Jalen Brunson had 3, but Cat had 40. He shot 14 of 23 from the field. That's pretty good.
That is
really
pretty
damn
good. That is really good.
I think it's a good point to think of. If Victor Wembanyama was on the Knicks instead of Cat, maybe you'd see the same thing from him. We don't know yet, though, so that's why I say for now Victor Wembanyama's not as good as Cat.
Right. I mean, because, the players on the Knicks bring gravity. It's like any star player, they draw attention, and then they leave guys wide open. And Jalen Brunson draws some of the most attention in the NBA because he's one of the best guards in the NBA.
Especially.
And he draws away from Karl-Anthony Towns, kicks it out. He's wide open for a three. Or same thing with Mikal Bridges. Cat has the ball in the post. Mikal and Jalen are almost
Everybody collapses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how. And it's hard for the Spurs to be really good at that because they don't have all those really, really good players. They have a solid 5-6 guys that are solid. You can count on them. But I think as time goes on, we're gonna see that more. Wemby draws the most a lot of attention, a lot of gravity. When he touches the ball, seemingly almost every time 2 guys are on him. And so as time goes on, as the Spurs make more moves, I think, we're going to see the Spurs be very successful because of the gravity that Victor Wembanyama brings to himself. But it's a good argument right now. I mean, it's definitely close. I just prefer him right now because of the defense. He's just that valuable on the defensive end, in my opinion.
Yeah, sorry, we got off on a tangent.
We
You're
got
in the
caught up
middle-
on
Yeah.
we got caught up on Wemby at 5, right? Of your
Yes.
list.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
give your whole list.
Yeah,
again.
we were splitting hairs for about
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah. So, my list: Jokic 1, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander 2, Giannis 3, Luka Doncic 4, Victor Wembanyama 5. Number 6, I have Jason Tatum. Number 7, I have Kevin Durant. Number 8, I have Stephen Curry. Number 9, I have LeBron James, and I do have Karl-Anthony Towns rounding out my top 10 because he is having a phenomenal season. You are seeing the full potential of Karl-Anthony Towns being unlocked in New York. I mean, this is what Minnesota wanted from him, but at the same time, Anthony Edwards is like that dude. He wants to shoot every time. He's literally come out and said, I want to shoot the ball every time.
Yeah.
So I think they are also better offense for Karl-Anthony Towns to insert himself in. Fit does matter.
And I will say, you know what? I may not be jumping to make this take about Cat over Wemby if it wasn't for the fact that he was on the Knicks. If he was doing the same thing but on the Timberwolves, there's a chance I overlook him. I think being on the Knicks also matters too. I think that's an interesting point to make.
The biggest market in basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Nathan.
So this, want to preface, is Jack's list, and I will preface for one reason and one reason only, and that is because of the number 1 player on the list is not Nikola Jokic.
That's rough.
If this were my list, it would be Nikola Jokic, and both of you know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
So
Jokic lover right here.
Yeah.
take us
Have
through
been.
Jack's list and tell us everything you would change about it.
There honestly isn't much I would change.
okay.
But the very big one, number 1, he has Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Number 2, Jokic. 3, Giannis. 4, Jason Tatum. 5, Luka Doncic. 6, Victor Wembanyama. 7, Karl-Anthony Towns. 8, Anthony Edwards. 9, Jalen Brunson. 10, Kevin Durant.
All right, first, before you hear from me in Austin, would you change anything else about that?
Other than, I would probably, I hate to be a copycat of you guys, but I would put SGA second and Jokic first.
Respectfully. I
Yes. And then the other major one that stands out is I don't want Anthony Edwards on this list.
No.
I don't think he's consistent enough.
I think Ant-Man
At all.
has kind of fell into that LaMelo Ball
Yeah.
area
Yeah.
of his team.
He just has free reigns to do whatever he wants.
I mean, he's not even the best shooting guard in the league. It's Devin Booker, sorry.
All right.
It is.
Or I guess right now you can make that case, absolutely.
Totally
Yeah.
is. I mean, I would
Last
say that
year-
if I wasn't a Suns fan. Like, look at his numbers.
Last year I would have fought you on that, but
this year it's way less of a fight.
It is.
Yeah,
they suck.
I would take and Anthony Edwards at 8
That's
over
high.
Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
Brunson, but it's probably recency bias because Brunson had a stinker last night. But Anthony Edwards at 8, not even like 10.
I don't like that at all.
He's just not consistent whatsoever.
You still can't put him over LeBron.
No,
I was about to finish my list with LeBron not on it, and then obviously the Luka trade happened, and there was like 3 games or so where they played with just LeBron and the rest of the people that were on the Lakers. I say people, not even basketball players, because they were getting pretty thin there. And he just absolutely carried them for 3 games. They didn't lose. Like they still haven't lost, correct? I mean, they haven't played great competition, but
They
still.
are
He just went off for 3 straight games, and I had to put him at 10.
pretty sure they're 10-1 in their last 11.
I think they're on a 7-game win streak.
Yeah, they are. The Lakers are actually playing incredible. They're playing better than they were with Anthony Davis, which is like super shocking because JJ Redick used AD as a hub of
As
the
a hub,
offense
yeah.
that we talked about back in October, November. Yeah, I'm having a hard time looking at Jack's list.
I mean, if you have to point out one thing you just disagree with besides the Jokic Shea thing, is there anything else, Austin?
Austin, yes.
Then
Yeah,
What
the-
is there
The
what else
Jason
you got?
Tatum bias is unreal. 4? No, he's not above Luka.
Why not?
Has Jason Tatum been All NBA first team in 5 seasons in a row?
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this season.
This season, Luka is having a down season, and Jason Tatum is having a great season. But I still would never put him over Luka Doncic.
I don't know. Jason Tatum's won championships. I mean, he made Luka look legitimately horrible in that finals. I mean,
Entire
he
Celtics
did.
team did, but yes.
I mean,
Yeah, it
again,
you are
wasn't just
correct.
the
Jason
You
Celtics
are
team
correct.
is the craziest team I've ever seen put together.
you
Yeah.
know,
I mean, I just wouldn't have him over Luka Doncic. I can't do it.
I can't fight you too much on that. However, I think this top 5, not with the exception of Wemby for me, but the top 5 of like Shea, Jokic, Giannis, Tatum,
Yeah.
Luka,
That does make sense.
is it makes sense, and it's somewhat interchangeable. You can make
Yeah.
a case for any of the
Of
guys to
course.
be higher or lower.
And to be honest with you, like, Jason Tatum and Luka are close. They are.
Yeah,
But I think Luka has that slight edge.
I think Luka definitely has the edge stats wise. Jason Tatum obviously wins more, but
Tatum got it done at the end of last year. Luka didn't.
He did.
yeah, and that's
Look at the teams, though.
Yeah, teams, and contextualize as well. Has Jack been on here before?
Not yet.
no, not
Yeah,
yet.
Jack is a Celtics fan.
Yeah, Celtics fan Jack.
So he would have Tatum over Luka.
Yeah.
But
I'm surprised he actually put Tatum below Giannis. I thought he'd
Yeah,
be,
I for sure thought he would have
marching
Tatum
in
over
here with
Giannis.
Tatum at number 1.
I didn't think he'd put Tatum at number 1, but I honestly thought he would have, because I know he hates Jokic. I honestly thought he would have went somebody, probably SGA, Tatum, Jokic.
I mean, I hate Jokic, too. He knocks Phoenix out of the playoffs, like, damn near every year. But, dude, he's the best player in the NBA.
He's the best.
You can't argue that. You really can't.
No.
His numbers, I'm sorry. It's
Yeah, they're absurd.
It
There
literally
was
is
there
leaving you
was
speechless.
there was there was a point. I think it was like 5 straight games where if he didn't play in the fourth quarter of any of those games, he would have had 5 straight triple doubles.
absurd.
Through the first 3 quarters of the games, he was averaging triple doubles.
It's insane.
Seriously.
Generational.
Well, we've all done our top 10. There are a couple names that didn't make anyone's list or just didn't make all 3. I think we should just give them some attention, but, not too much. Just a couple to mention. Kyrie, Damian Lillard, Devin Booker, Trae Young is having a fantastic year.
Yeah, he is having a great year.
We're even seeing tremendous years from people like Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Maxey, LaMelo Ball, of course. He led in All-Star voting, or was high up there. De'Aaron Fox, Jaylen Brown, Cade Cunningham, Donovan Mitchell. You can just keep going and going and going. There's a ton of talent in the NBA. Is there a name on the honorable mentions list that you think you can make the best case for to insert into the top 10? Whether you actually agree with it or not, but who can you see here that you can make the best case for? I will go first.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, because he was originally on my top 10, I wimped out and took him off. I had Cade Cunningham in place of Jalen Brunson at number 9. He's had a phenomenal year, a better year than someone like Devin Booker. I don't know if you saw that, but he's averaging almost a double-double with 25, 26, and 10. And then he throws a couple rebounds in there too. He's prone to get a triple-double here and there.
Yeah.
But
He's nice.
Austin, is there a guy that you're looking at?
Yeah, I'm looking at 2.
All right, let's hear it.
And Cade Cunningham, and then Devin Booker. Honestly.
Yeah, I know he's your boy.
I know he's I'm a Phoenix Suns fan. I'm also real. He wasn't on my top 10 list. He was on my top 10 list a year ago, 2 years ago. Because, he was. He took his team to the finals. I don't think he's in the top 10 anymore. I think he's anywhere between probably 11 and 15 at the lowest.
Okay.
Cade Cunningham, though, I feel like he's going to be in there next season. He's phenomenal. Cade Cunningham is
good.
genuinely so talented. When I watch Cade Cunningham, I'm in awe. I think of Kyrie Irving. He kind of dribbles like Kyrie Irving in a sense. And it's the way that he makes the defenders move and kind of shift off of him, and the gravity that he brings to himself is unreal. I know you got LaMelo Ball pulled up over there.
Yeah, I was just going to chat about him for a little bit. He's got the numbers. However, we've kind of been talking about it the whole time on this show. There's a certain reason that we hold players that are good below other players, even though the stats might not line up.
Right.
He just gets a lot of shots. He also shoots 41% from the field, which I know he's a guard, but that's still not the greatest. And you'd love to see more from your best player. And he also doesn't have as many assists as you'd kind of think that LaMelo Ball would have. He's averaging 7.2, which is a very high number, but, people like Cade Cunningham averaging more. I think maybe even someone like Maxey might be averaging more. Let me double check that, but
he also can't guard anybody.
He's also,
a very below
point.
mid defender. LaMelo Ball.
LaMelo Ball? Yeah, that's fair.
He can't guard.
That's fair.
And he's a big guard,
Well,
so he should be able to.
It's because guarding people isn't as fun as shooting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, LaMelo. I love LaMelo, but come on, Nathan. Have you thought of anyone?
You covered pretty much everybody I was thinking of in the honorable mentions.
Well, anyone
except
like crazy?
Anthony Davis isn't in here.
Well, he's on my list, and I don't know.
On yours. Why isn't he on yours?
Because availability is the best ability.
Okay. Yeah, we should talk about that, Nathan. What's up with Anthony Davis? You think he should be in the top 10?
I also agree with Austin. He wouldn't be in mine because of that. I was just wondering why he wasn't in yours. You don't care about that.
I mean,
it's pretty high on your list.
I kind of do. I mean, let's just say we all had a reaction to the Luka Doncic Anthony Davis trade, and I think the biggest headline that you could get from that is that 2 top 10 players were traded for each other. You can't say that and then not have Anthony Davis in your top 10. I think he's pretty certified. He's like the best big man available in the game. That's why the Mavs pushed all their chips on the table for him. Didn't work out because right away he's hurt. However, I think that shouldn't take away from him as a player necessarily.
I agree to an extent, but like at the same time, it's like Kawhi Leonard. People were saying, 3 years ago, Kawhi Leonard is the best player in the world. After he did that Toronto run and then he went to the Los Angeles Clippers, and he hasn't played much at all since. And this season he's not playing great. He's not really being super aggressive when it comes to scoring the ball. He's kind of taking a backseat to James Harden in a sense, and Zubac and Norman Powell. I mean, Norman Powell, Zubac, and Harden I think are all averaging more points than Kawhi Leonard this season. Granted, he doesn't have a great sample size, but it's a different player. And Anthony Davis, I'm kind of worried that like the injuries could affect his game. I mean, he's out for indefinitely right now.
Indefinitely, yeah.
Which is scary if you're a Dallas Mavericks fan. Like, that is not something you want.
I mean, yeah, if you want to think top 10 players at the end of this year, there's a big chance Anthony Davis could be outside of that for me because, like you said, if he's hurt the rest of the year, you can't put him in. Right. However, I think reflective of the first half of the season that he's had, he's averaging damn near 26 points. He's pulling down more rebounds than 99% of the NBA. He averages 12 a game, and he shoots over 52%. That's really, really, really good.
Yeah, he's dominant. I'm not disagreeing that he's dominant. I simply did not have him on my top 10 list because of his availability.
Which until 3 days ago he was doing well in that category,
right?
To be honest.
I just felt it was unfair to put him on the list when all of these guys are consistently playing a lot of the time. I mean, there's a narrative.
Yeah, I guess.
There is a narrative behind Luka Doncic and Kevin Durant, you could argue as well. But Anthony Davis is like glass, man. Like, he always gets hurt.
So you're acknowledging the injury proneness of Anthony Davis, James?
I acknowledge it.
And still putting him in top 10?
And from the standpoint of the first half of this season at the trade deadline,
okay,
absolutely.
So
he hasn't been hurt. I mean,
so do you draw a line between him and Joel Embiid?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, because Embiid has missed more games than Davis.
If Joel Embiid played every game of the first half of the season before the trade deadline and had a stat line like Anthony Davis, he'd be in my top 10 as well.
Had AD played every game before he got hurt this year? Okay.
He actually missed a significant amount of time with the Lakers earlier in the season.
Not significant enough for him to qualify for every major, statistic and
but
category.
it was a good amount of time.
But someone who doesn't qualify for ranking in major statistics is Luka Doncic.
Yeah, that is true. I mean,
but of course he's such a good player, you can't keep him out.
Yeah, I mean, you can't keep a guy out All NBA first team 5 out of his 6 seasons. That's insane. Yeah. I mean, it's still crazy to me that he's a Laker. I mean, we were watching the game against Utah, which Utah's poverty. They're bad.
That made me feel for Utah fans watching that.
Yeah, like We were laughing
We
at the Utah Jazz.
we watched like a 2-minute sequence where it was Utah turnover, Lakers score, Utah turnover, Lakers score, and we rewound it like 3 times to watch
it was
it.
incredible.
Yeah, there was like
It was funny.
It was awesome.
a missed alley-oop, and then like 2 passes into this
Yeah.
Lakers possession. Rui Hachimura's just wide open in the middle of the paint. Like it was.
Yeah, like
Oh my God, it was hilarious.
The Jazz were playing a zone, and the zone was Swiss cheese.
Yeah.
It was just like, here, I'll pass it here. Who's going to guard him? Nobody? Okay, we'll shoot it.
Yeah. He had the ball, passed it out to the wing. The defender left Rui completely wide open. So you're like, oh shit, give it back to Rui.
Pass it back to Rui.
And he just got a wide open jumper at the free throw line.
He was like a little inside the free throw
he
line
was.
too. Like there was no one even there.
It was
Nobody
funny.
close.
It was funny. It was comical just to see because like that's an NBA defense. Oh Lord. Oh, that was bad defense, like really bad defense, and their offense wasn't great either because they were turning the ball over like 4 times.
They play the Jazz again tonight.
Yeah, they do at 9:00.
Yeah.
The Lakers made this trade at the right time because while Luka's still not fully available, they're playing fluff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Luka was on a minutes restriction. He looks like he was going like 60-70%.
Yeah. Tonight's a big night too, though. Luka's going to pass LeBron James Jr. in Lakers all-time points.
Oh
Don't
my
say that
goodness.
yet. Don't say that yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. I might have just jinxed
could
it.
twist
They're
his
tied
ankle.
with 14.
Yeah.
That's
Lakers
hilarious.
all-time.
Lakers
Yeah.
legend LeBron James Jr.
Yep.
If Bronny James outlasts Luka Doncic on this scoring list for after this night, I will be bewildered. That means Luka either scored 0 or Bronny scored like 25.
That just isn't happening. That just isn't happening. Luka will pass Bronny tonight and leave him he'll never look back.
Yeah.
We were watching the Celtics game against the Lakers, and Jack is a Celtics fan, so we were tuned in to the very end, and he's a Bronny James hater to the max. Jack Haskell hates Bronny James, like just
He hates LeBron.
Yeah, he hates LeBron, so obviously he's gonna hate Bronny too. And so we were watching, and Bronny got in the Celtics game. He goes in, actually creates a decent amount of space for himself, shoots it, hits the other side of the backboard.
It went over the rim and hit the bottom corner on the opposite side of the backboard.
Bottom left corner of the backboard hit.
I can't imagine, bro. Like he's got to be playing like too stiff.
And then he'll go in the G League and drop 30.
I think he's
LeBron's
playing
son.
too stiff. He's playing too stiff
Yeah.
in the NBA. I
Yeah.
think
I agree.
I actually heard them talking about it on ESPN. They think he's afraid to fail, like most players who are willing to develop wouldn't be afraid to fail.
Like
I think he doesn't want to
every person
embarrass
ever born has
himself.
been.
Yeah, I mean,
He
he's
doesn't want to
LeBron's
do anything
son.
that bad.
Like the pressure on him is unreal, which there really shouldn't be because he's not that good. He's
Yeah,
not
he really-
NBA ready per se.
And he's rich.
Yeah,
You're good,
That's
bro.
true. You've made
Yeah.
money.
You're
Like,
good.
His
You're not
NIL
trying to-
deal alone could have set him
Yeah.
up for life.
you're not feeding your.
You'll
family.
have Taco Tuesdays until you're 70. Like, you're good, man.
Not to mention, LeBron James, I could see being the Guinness World Record holder of oldest man alive.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. He would probably have his dad around till LeBron's 120.
Yeah.
But, anyways,
It's just funny to talk about the fact that LeBron James has a son who is now his teammate.
Yeah.
This dude made his own teammate.
he made his own teammate.
That's incredible. And
He spawned his own teammate.
and if Bryce makes it, he made 2 of his own teammates. Because let's be for real, the league is going to rig it. So LeBron, Bronny, and Bryce are on the same team at Bryce's NBA caliber level, which I think he will turn out to be because he's got the build of LeBron when he was in high school.
Yeah. If Bryce makes it, LeBron would have made 1/6 of his roster by himself.
Yeah. That's awesome.
That's so funny.
He would have made 1/6 of his roster.
Yeah. And you do bring up a valid point, Austin. I think he's got the LeBron James build, but also let's think about this. If Bryce James is actually NBA level talent, I don't know if he's going to get to play with LeBron.
Yeah, I don't know.
He might just get, someone might swoop in and draft him.
Because he does look pretty good. His senior year debut, he was really aggressive when he was scoring the ball, which he wasn't in his junior year at all. So I think that's going to play a factor. He's going to Arizona next year.
Does he play for Sierra Canyon?
Yeah, he plays for Sierra Canyon.
Going to Arizona next year, that's a big commitment anyways, too.
That's pretty big.
And there's a chance that, any school, if LeBron James is your dad, would literally be flying you out.
Yeah,
for the possibility that LeBron donates money to Arizona. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
is worth for that alone.
I mean, there was a while before Bronny entered the draft and he was like in the transfer portal. The speculation of Bronny to Duquesne was like, oh my God, like LeBron's high school coach works there. Like, he's totally gonna go to Duquesne, and then LeBron's gonna be like around the A10, all that, and then he just entered the draft, and none of that ever happened.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, nonetheless, it was fun to talk about though, because we go to Bonaventure. Duquesne is in the A10, so we would see Bronny James play and potentially see LeBron in the Riley Center. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Jack still owes me money because he said Bronny would transfer to Duquesne, and I bet him $50 for it.
Yeah,
Jack still owes me.
Pay up, Jack.
We all agreed that he's probably going to go to the draft or go somewhere else because we just didn't want to believe him.
He would never be in the A10. I mean,
He's too big time.
Respectfully, if Bronny James was on Duquesne and Bonaventure was playing Duquesne at Bonaventure, people would be lining up the day before, sleeping outside the Riley Center. Intense. Yeah. Or, funny enough, kids would probably be sleeping inside the Riley Center. I mean, we're in here right now. We could just sleep on the couch. Yeah. Wait for LeBron's son and LeBron to pull up, because he'd probably pull up to the Riley Center. It's kind of like a big thing in the A10. So that'd be kind of cool. Imagine if LeBron was in the A10 sitting courtside with Woj.
Oh, yeah. Woj would find a way to bring him here.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. Woj is the man.
Yeah, shout out Woj.
Shout out Woj.
Anyways, let's keep things moving. Some news actually. The Raptors, they extend Brandon Ingram, newly acquired Brandon Ingram, 3 years, $120 million. Initial thoughts, kind of interesting, right?
It could be 4. He's got a player option in that. So that is interesting. Initial thoughts, I think it's cool that he got an immediate extension, kind of similar to Jimmy Butler. He just wanted to get paid, and I don't think New Orleans was going to pay Brandon Ingram. Not even close to that.
They've got a couple people they want to play.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if Brandon Ingram is worth $120 million. I would put him around the 190 range, in my opinion, just because he's not the greatest defender in the world. He's a bucket. But, I mean, he also misses a good amount of time, too. So I think that's actually going to factor into contracts moving forward, is your availability, because Joel Embiid doesn't play, and he's an MVP, former MVP, and his contract is massive. I mean, what are the Sixers supposed to do? They don't really have room at all. I mean, look at Paul George. 16 a game, and he has a max contract. Yeah. It's kind of unreal.
People are going to learn from
exactly.
these contracts.
And this whole, Big Three era, I think people are going to learn, you need a whole team. And the Big Three, prime example, the Phoenix Suns, that shit doesn't work. It just doesn't. You need to have two guys that are that dude, and then surround them with the best role players you can find. And, yeah, you could bring in other all-stars, but their roles are going to change, and they have to accept that. I think that's the hardest part in the league right now, and the biggest issue is former all-stars are not accepting the fact that they just don't have that anymore.
Yeah, that's true. This trade for Toronto, this tells me that Toronto thinks they might have a window for 3 to 4 years to compete. And Brandon Ingram is the first move of that. I mean, you don't sign someone 3 year with a fourth option for $120 million if you don't plan on bringing anyone else in. Right. I mean, it's not like this is Brandon Ingram's franchise. However, I'd be interested to investigate, the cap room that Toronto has, maybe some prospects that they're willing to trade, but who's a big star, that you could place in Toronto that makes this team compete? I don't know who it is, but this means something. You don't sign Brandon Ingram just to sit around, the 12 seed for the next
4 years.
4 years.
I mean, I think they need a better point guard than Emmanuel Quickley. In my opinion, Emmanuel Quickley's better as a backup.
I still don't think Emmanuel Quickley's a point guard.
Yeah, kind of
like he's not really.
Guard.
Yeah, but
unfortunately he runs point guard.
Runs point guard for them.
I don't know.
Which is annoying.
This thing at the bottom of the ESPN release article says Brandon Ingram is one of 4 players to make at least 1,000 2-point jumpers over the past 6 seasons, which kind of seems like a cherry-picked stat. But also, I look at it and I'm like, oh, great, he's really good at shooting the most inefficient shot in basketball.
He's really good at shooting the shot that most coaches don't
tell you not to shoot. I don't know. Brandon Ingram was the headliner for the original Anthony Davis trade to the Pelicans. That's pretty weird.
That is true. Oh my goodness, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to think about
and the Lakers just got Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis.
Yeah, I mean,
that's pretty crazy.
Think about a young Brandon Ingram. I mean, his max potential, people were saying is like Kevin Durant.
Oh, he was 100%.
And anyone who watched him at Duke would agree. I mean, he was a baller in college. Came into the NBA. He definitely had potential. You know, he's averaging 22, 5, and 5 right now on 47% shooting.
Yeah.
But you know, that's any team would love to take a Brandon Ingram level role player and surround, you know, and get a star.
Yeah, but would you pay that guy $40 million a year?
Nope.
Especially when you don't have a star already.
And he looks like this.
I mean, he's having his best year was 2022, 2023 when he averaged almost 25. Efficient as well. I just don't think he's worth
like
$40 million a year.
That stat said he was efficient. Like he said it was 1 of 4 to do whatever I just said. The other the other 3 guys were DeRozan, Booker, Durant. Like that's a good group to be in.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a $40 million. It's worth $40 million, but like if you can find a way to be in that group, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's also kind of weird because, they have Scotty Barnes and they have R.J. Barrett, and now they have Brandon Ingram. They all kind of play the same position. I mean, Scotty Barnes can play the 4, R.J. Barrett can play the 2, but they're all like small forwards when it really boils down to it. Like a lot of the time, R.J. Barrett was playing the 3 for Toronto this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird. I mean, they have a big lineup. Their lineup's definitely big.
Yeah. Do you think anyone is on their way out of there? Do you think maybe? I mean, we just talked about quickly. Do you think they bring in someone a little better to run the point than quickly?
I hope so.
They could get stuff for quickly. I feel
there was rumblings of Jakob Poeltl around the trade deadline. Him potentially moving.
They've got pieces. You know, we just talked about R.J. Barrett. They've got Brandon Ingram. They've got Scotty Barnes. They're all either in their prime years or approaching them.
Yeah.
Interesting what they've got going on in a weak Eastern Conference. But again, there's no clear mission until they have the player that this is being built around.
Yeah.
Unless this is it, which I don't know.
We're not going to find out until the NBA offseason.
Yeah.
Last thing I wanted to touch on, speaking of the NBA offseason, reports today, Brian Windhorst, the Phoenix Suns, Kevin Durant, and everybody around the league knows Kevin Durant is getting traded this summer. Thoughts? Because me as a Suns fan, I hate it, but the return has to be great. It is still Kevin Durant at the end of the day. Yes, he's old. Mm-hmm. He's still averaging 27 a night.
I think
he's still worth a lot, in my opinion.
I think if you get a trade done this summer where Kevin Durant leaves the Suns and ESPN grades the trade for the Suns and you get B+ or higher, rejoice.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, you lose Kevin Durant, sure, but as you said, you kind of just need 2 guys that are him and surround him with role players. And if you can get Kevin Durant for role players think about how good these role players have to be. They can't be horrible, but you'd think almost Brandon Ingram level. And, you know, what team that wants Kevin Durant can give that back to you? I don't know. Maybe it is the Raptors.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be silly. That would be a crazy career for Kevin Durant, but I don't know.
You know he's going to tell them a specific list of teams. It's Kevin Durant. He's not going to want to go play.
He can do whatever he wants.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened. He did whatever he wanted. He shut down the Golden State Warriors trade. And the package that Phoenix was going to get in return was incredible. It was probably the best we could ever get for Kevin Durant. The package was Jonathan Kuminga, Jimmy Butler, 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and multiple pick swaps.
Supposedly.
And Kevin Durant said, no, I don't want to go back to Golden State.
Wow, I'd be mad at him if he turned that down. Are you mad at him for that?
A little bit.
But I don't blame you. I don't blame you. That is an insane haul.
I know.
Have a no-trade clause?
No, he doesn't.
He's got respect.
He's just Kevin Durant. He's just Kevin Durant. Like, literally just mad respect.
Yeah,
You know?
I would be, as a fan, I'd be really mad at him.
I don't know. You definitely...
It's hard to be mad at Kevin Durant.
It's hard, but come on, dude.
I mean, do you have any final thoughts on this Kevin Durant trade? What do you want to see from it? Are there, suitors that you're looking at right now? Is there anyone you think, what's Kevin Durant's favorite team? What's going through your head?
I genuinely can't even think of, other than that package that was offered to us, I don't even know a potential shooter at this point because like there's so many things. Literally anything can happen. We just saw Luka Doncic get traded for Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Anything can happen. It could be an all-star. It could be a superstar. It could be a bunch of role players and draft picks.
Yeah.
They're gonna shop him around the entire NBA.
That's what I was gonna say. No matter what happens with Durant, it's not gonna be the craziest deal of the year.
No, it's not.
No.
And not even close.
And it's not gonna be anywhere close to the craziest deal of the year because this NBA offseason I'm anticipating to be one of the craziest ever, just like this trade deadline was. There's a pattern that we're seeing, that we're starting to see.
People, teams, owners are going to be making moves to see what they can do to bring their team to a championship. Speaking of championships, this year, what are you guys thinking? Who's going to win the NBA championship this year at this perspective, fresh after the trade deadline? Nathan, do you want to get us started? Who's your champion?
No, you guys go.
Okay, I'll go. Sure. I guess I'll start it off. I'm sure I took Nathan's answer, but I really like the Nuggets. I think they have the best player in the world. I also like the Celtics just because they, have such a loaded roster. But I think my point's fairly simple. Nuggets, I think they have the best player. Celtics, they won it last year. I don't think it deviates too much from there.
I have the Thunder, but specifically if Chet is healthy. That is the only way they win the NBA championship, in my opinion. If I had to pick a different team, I'm going to go with Dallas.
Okay.
I think Dallas has, the craziest big man rotation in the NBA. They definitely have the best big man rotation, in my opinion. I mean, they have Gafford, Lively, and Anthony Davis. They're all hurt right now. It's not the playoffs, though.
I would find it hard to believe that a team with no top
and
10
PJ Washington
players
as well.
I'd find it hard to believe that a team with no top 10 players is going to win the NBA championship. Just my opinion, though. Just saying.
Listen,
because Anthony Davis he's not top 10, right? That's what you said.
Injuries aside, yeah.
Okay.
I just took in a factor.
That's right. We did talk about that. That's true.
Nathan?
The Golden State Warriors.
Oh, are you kidding?
I actually like that.
No, I'm not kidding.
I actually like that.
Yeah.
They didn't. All right. Yeah.
You can never count out Stephen Curry and the Golden State Warriors. And
yeah.
They just got Jimmy Butler.
That's one of my reasons, and the other reason is schematically, I think Jimmy Butler is one of the best things that can ever happen to them.
100%.
Because of Butler, but also I saw this dude the other day who's playing for him, and he's a big guy who can consistently knock down threes.
Quentin Post.
Yes. I don't think Steph has ever had that.
Never.
So now that spaces it out even more, which helps Jimmy Butler if he wants to drive to the rim. Mm-hmm. Steph, if he wants to make something happen with Jimmy Butler on the weak side, post doesn't have to be on the block. He can be in the corner. It's a different kind of it's a different scheme that they can run from previous years, if that makes sense.
All right. Well,
they might not even make the playoffs.
Well, that's what I'll say is they're definitely, if they're going to win the championship, you're putting this team up against probably one of the hardest playoff runs that they'll ever have to face in NBA history.
They did in 2022.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you have that going for you, and I also love. I mean, Jimmy Butler is essentially like a 15 times better version of Draymond Green.
Yeah.
Right now.
And Golden State loves those kinds of players. So I think he'll fit his role perfectly. The synergy is what's going to have to be perfect for them to win it.
Yeah, I mean, they have the two toughest players in the NBA. Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green. Those guys are dogs. Straight dogs. All they want to do is win, and they win with passion. And it's cool to watch. The first two games of Jimmy Butler have been extremely successful with Steph exploding. He had 34 and 38 in those two games. So, I wouldn't be surprised. I like that pick.
And what did Post have in those two games?
He had 14 one game.
Against the Bulls, he went 4 of 7 from 3.
Yeah.
And against the Bucks, he went I just had it, but hold on. He went 3 of 4.
Yeah, he goes in and out of the starting lineup.
Yeah.
He's good regardless of where he is. With all this being said, that's going to do it for this episode of Above the Rim. Thank you guys for watching, and stay tuned for episode 3 next week. Peace.